of Arabuko Limited. Well, we all know of somebody who has started a business and then decided to expand the business for one reason or another. Perhaps they saw there was a gap, or they saw that there was some potential. We've heard of people who started one store and then they diversified and opened a second store or a third store. And then a little while later, we hear that they're closing the stores. Why? Because the store was not able to break even, or they diversified from one product to another. And then before they knew it, they had to stop the business because it just wasn't making sense. I know we've heard of the street parlance that you call yourself to a meeting, or so-called kujiita mkutano, because the mathematics is not mathing. Now, today we're going to be told what should we consider before starting a business and expanding it. Is it the right time to expand? We will find out all about that today on The Disruption Show. Now, to kick off this conversation, I'd like to invite Caroline to tell us a little bit about what to consider. But before that, I'll ask Clarice about Arabuko Limited. What is Arabuko Limited about? When did you start it, and how long have you been in the business?
Arabuko Limited is a general supplies company. Yes, our focus is on fresh fruits and cereals. We do meats, we do vegetables. Yes, so this we supply to institutions like schools, hospitals, and also homes, and also supermarkets. Yes.
Okay, how long have you been in the business?
We started the business back in 2016 to date. So that is over 6 years, yes.
Okay. You'll tell us a little bit about how you decided to expand that business and what made the determining factor. But before you tell us more about that, I'd like to invite Titus to tell us a little bit about Caltech Medical Supplies. Tell us a little bit about what your business does and why you started that business.
Thank you very much. I'm Titus Dego from Caltech Medical Supplies. We are located at Thika, Grace House. We deal with medical equipment supply, laboratory reagents, dental units and dental accessories, surgical, non-farms, and that is our field. We've been in business since 2014, but our expansion came along after the COVID hit, after we diversified our ways of doing business, where we learned some few do's and don'ts in business. But there before, we've been doing some other, I've really tried doing some other businesses along the line of business.
Okay, so you're telling me your expansion came around the COVID time, around 2020.
Yeah.
I think you'll need to tell us a little bit about that, because 2020 was a challenging year for very many businesses. So many people were actually shutting down or scaling down, but that's the time you decided to diversify. So maybe you could tell us how COVID affected you or made you to decide to expand during COVID time.
Okay, during the COVID, this pandemic of the COVID, there was the challenge of movement from one point to another point, from one place to another place, or even in the point of moving your sales or even your products. After a client purchase, there was this challenge of getting the product to those places or even doing your marketing. But for us, we started some online advertisement and marketing, and we were not so good in it, but along the way, we got some training from Equity Bank, where they tried to improve on our marketing skills. We went some classes, we were given some lessons. So it was now on our side. We had to have an extra effort, doing an extra mile on the issue of the research about the market and the marketing strategies. So, and we started off with the Facebook ad, where you'll get your ad, you post an item or a product that you sell to your Facebook page. From there, it will actually, there is a way Facebook I don't know, okay, they will just package it in a way that your ad or your product that you're doing the sales will go to a particular person who is in your field.
Targeted to them.
Yeah, it will have a specific target.
Yeah.
Such that if you're in the field of, like for us, we're in the field of medical supplies and equipments, rarely will come to get an advert through that comes from Facebook, from Caltech Medical Suppliers, because the niche that they have given, it's going to particularly people who are in the field of health. So we went through training through Equity, courtesy of Thika 2 branch. They gave us an opportunity to go through the classes. When we went through the classes, we learned whatever that was taught there. It was now for me and my other employees to come along and try and chip in deeper and understand these the oncoming ways of doing your marketing, your sales, your adverts. And there we started doing supplies, doing our marketing through the Caltex Suppliers Facebook page. And since then we have had a good response. We've grown our sales from actually, if I can compare the cumulative sales that we've done since we started our business back in 2014, through the digital advertisement and marketing, I could give an average of 80% have come through the digital marketing.
Wow.
So I find it as a vital input in my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think what you've said is very important, the importance of digital marketing, and especially after the COVID hit. And I'll rope you in on that, Clarice, a little bit later. But I'd like to rope in Caroline. What are some of the things that we need to ask ourselves before we expand our business? So let's say I have a clothes store, for example, or maybe I'm in the agribusiness like Clarice, and I think, my business is doing well. What are the things I need to consider before I start to decide maybe I'm going to include these other vegetables, these other fruits? What are those things I should be looking out for?
Okay, as an entrepreneur, I believe there is no entrepreneur who does not want to expand in business. But the most likely things you're supposed to put in place is, for the first thing, you're supposed to know your target market. Because without customers, you will not expand your business. So you have to know the right target market, just like Titus has told us that in Facebook, he has put that advert in a way that it only attracts clients who deal with medical equipments. So as for him, he will only attract customers who deal with medical equipment. So the first thing as an entrepreneur, you have to know your target market. The second thing as an entrepreneur, when you want to expand your business, you have to look at your finances. Because expanding the business, it comes with expenses. Mm-hmm. You will have more employees, you will have more overhead expenses, you will have to also motivate your employees, because maybe at the time of expanding the business, you won't be in a position to hire other employees immediately. So you have to talk to your employees, motivate them for them to work overtime or work more, because the overload will be more because of the expanding of the business. The second thing, when you want to expand your business, you have to think of the customer service, about the quality of the service or the product you'll offer to your customers. Because when you expand, you might have that happiness of, my business is bringing more, I'll get more income, and I'll get more profit. But you will also forget that the quality has to be the same for you to get more customers. Because if the quality is compromised, the expansion will be for failure, because the customers won't like the products because of the quality. And something else, when you want to expand your business, you have to also have a plan on why you want to expand it. You must have good strategy on why you also want to expand it, because you'll get more entrepreneurs. The excitement they had in their first business, they also carry it forward to the expansion of the business, thinking the impact they got in the first business is the impact they'll get in the second business.
Okay, I think you've put so many good points there, and the point of customer service is very important, because we've heard, for example, in the food industry, there are food businesses that expand. They started one store, people loved the food, and then they start another store, but the chefs there just don't seem to get the ingredients, and then what you ordered there is just not the same, and then you end up losing that customer altogether. So customer service is really important, and really training your employees to understand that quality needs to be maintained campaign because it can end up really tarnishing the brand as a whole, and also having a plan. What is your reason behind starting or expanding that business? Now, Clarice, I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about Arabuko. You do, we spoke a little bit earlier, and you said you do contract farming, but then you had started farming on your own before you decided to go into contract farming. Tell us a little bit about that and what made you change strategy.
I started farming back in 2014, well back when I was in campus. So that was in Nyeri area. So I explored, I always had an interest in farming. So when I went to campus in Nyeri County, so I got to learn that there are a lot of farming of red onions, which do well in the drier parts of Nyeri, that is Nerutia and Muiga. So I decided to give it a shot. So that was my first time at farming. It didn't break even. So I also tried a couple of times after that. I farmed in Machakos County and Kajiado County, but all the times that I did farming, I was not able to get the money back and also to get any profit. So I decided to move from production to marketing. So that is working backwards. So I started, that is after campus, I went to various institutions, to hotels and schools, and asked for orders. I told them that I could supply this and this product. Yes, it was a very difficult journey. Yeah, you know, for every 2 yeses that I got like 8 no's. So for an entrepreneur, you really have to have thick skin. So yes, I managed to get some contracts. So that is what we do till date. We do supplies. Yes.
Okay, thanks for that. And as you said, it's very important to be resilient to make it in business. Now, I'd like you to tell me, Caroline, a little bit about this issue of breaking even. Many businesses start and then they are doing well, and then others say, I've broken even, I've made quite a bit of money. But is that reason enough to start a new store or to diversify? At what point do we know that it's the right time to expand? How much money are we looking at? Because you can be making profits, but then does that necessarily mean that you should be expanding, whether it's a physical store or expanding the product or service offering? Or what point do we know is the right time to expand?
Okay, thank you for that, Claire. The right time to expand in business, it takes a lot for the entrepreneur to expand. First, you must have a strong team of, your own team of members who will advise you on what to do next. The second thing, you must look on your finances. You know, when business people start getting profits, maybe 1 week, second month, third month, hapo ndio unaona sasa hii biashara imeanza kufanya vizuri, you feel like you want to open another branch in another place. Hapo ndio sasa unaanza kuona the need of doing that business in another place, or maybe expanding, maybe from the kiosk you're into a retail shop. But what I know with expanding the business, the first thing, you must check on your cash flows for a certain period of time, not just in 1 week or a few months, because you never know how the business will go on the other side. The first thing, you check on your finances, whereby you give yourself a target, like, wacha niangalie biashara kwa miaka 2 ama 3, itakuwa inanipatia faida kiasi gani. Na you start by calculating your own profit. The first month, maybe it give you 5%. Second month, maybe 2%. Third month, 10%. So according to how your business is making progress, that is now the best indicator on whether to expand or not to expand. Another thing is when you're in your business and some of the clients wait for too long, or they even go without the service. Maybe to say it's a salon thing. Now, most of the clients, you play it very well and you do your service very good, but most of the clients come and wait for so long and go. That is now the time you as an entrepreneur, you should think of, my service is good and I don't want to lose my customers. So what you're supposed to do is you have to find new staff that will come and offer the same services you do, or you will have to increase your speed of service, also maintaining the quality of service while outsourcing for other employees for them to come and help you. And also it might need for you to expand your your business premise, because maybe the one you're in is little, so you have to make it bigger. So the first indicator is when customers are there, some are going unserved, some are complaining of the service being slow, and another thing is you checking your finances on how the business is bringing in money. And something else, something that most businesses people don't have, we like doing businesses on our own. You keep it as a secret on your own. We don't have people to advise us on what to do. Or if you have a person who advises you on what to do about the business, in the other side you're like, msee hanitaki, anaona ni kama hii biashara yangu haiendi vizuri, so I will try and do it on my own. But you'll see that these big companies and organizations, they have a panel of people that advise them on what they're supposed to do, the right time to expand, and the time not to expand.
Okay, I think that's very important, just getting counsel from people. And as you said, you should not just do things by yourself because you're not an island. And I think it's also important for business people to understand that not every advice that you get has to be paid. You can get a mentor who is in a similar business or in a different business and can advise you, and you don't necessarily have to pay for advice. So it's important to really keep an open mind and include other people. And as you mentioned, one of the indicators that it might be time to expand is if people are waiting. No one really likes to wait. You wait today and you say, this is not what I'm going to be doing. Now, I'd like you to tell us a little bit, Titus, what other indicators told you that it was time to expand, other than COVID making it, necessitating you to go online and whatnot? What were the other factors that told you, maybe it's time to expand?
Okay. The market. There was a gap in the market because like in my scenario when it was my time to expand, there was a gap in some most of the items on the PPEs. So the moment that you are an entrepreneur and you will notice that there is a gap, it is your high time and it is the chance you have for you to go and fill the gap to meet the needs so that you can make something out of it and even create an opportunity to one or two other peoples who will benefit through that opportunity. Then still there was a time I got somebody who was having a challenge of the medical equipment coaching about how to use maybe a blood pressure machine. So I took an advantage. Whenever I do a sale of these items, there will always be an after-sale service. So you sell a BP machine or a blood monitoring machine or a glucometer for your blood sugar, but I will come in and give you an after-sale of showing how to use it the right way at the right time. Because, for example, you should not take your blood pressure if you are not settled for some few minutes after a long walk or after you've come from a run or you're in attention, because it will give you the wrong readings. So in such scenarios, I saw there was a market for expansion, because the moment you tell a customer, I'll sell to you this product, and still I'll give you an after sale on how to use it, I'll still give you an option of several other items. So I could get the chance of having clients who would prefer me. And so I had to expand my business to the new clients.
Okay, I think that's very important. What you said, just making yourself stand out from other suppliers is just giving that after-sales service so that the customer feels that you're not just doing a hard sell, you're actually concerned about them. Now, I'd like us to discuss a little bit about the balance between when to expand and when not to expand, because as you've said, during the COVID season, you jumped at an opportunity. You saw that there was an opportunity to give this protective gear. But Caroline has also told us it's not always about jumping for opportunity. So, Caroline, where do we strike the balance? Because as a business person, you really have to strike when the iron is hot. When you see an opportunity, you need to go for it. But then how do we make sure that we don't get our fingers burnt? Taking opportunities, but then balancing at not jumping at everything and then burning our fingers.
I think the right thing we are supposed to look at is the risks associated with the expansion and the time you're expanding. Because most of the businesses, let me give an example of the COVID time. you could have told an entrepreneur to expand the business at that time, na wangekuwa zile za, are you in your senses? Eh? You don't know what the environment is now. Okay, the risk associated with the expansion, that is the most important thing. If the risks are too high than the benefits, don't expand. But if the benefits are higher than the risks, then it's time for you to expand as an entrepreneur. If you have everything set in position, that is well and good. The only thing you're supposed to look at is the risks associated with the expansion.
Okay. So we need to look at the risk versus the benefit.
Yes.
So the benefit should outweigh the risk.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, Clarice, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about you are in contract farming. How did you decide that these are the things that I should be in, whether it's you talked of red onions when you're in campus and whatnot. What research led you to find that this kind of contract farming is actually going to work? This is what the supermarkets, this is what the institutions really, really want.
I think first and foremost, the most important thing is to listen to your customers, because customers, we are here because of our customers. So if, for my case, for Arabuko Limited, we started with onions, and then we went to the vegetables, kale, spinach, broccoli, yes. And then with time, our customers told us, you also supplying this? Can you also supply something else? Can you supply dry goods? Could you supply something else? So for us, it was purely on customer demand, yes.
Okay, so customer is king. That's what I'm hearing through and through. Customer is king. You need to listen to your customer, because sometimes business people think, I think this will do well, and you do it and you're really not the customer. You're the owner of the business, but you need to listen to your customer to make sure that you last in this business. So I'd like us to talk a little bit about the costs that come with expansion. How do we make sure that we are taking into consideration our costs to make sure they stay as low as possible while maintaining our quality and ensuring that we scale in the right direction? And Titus, probably you can tell me a bit about that. How do you factor in the costs that come with expansion and make sure you stay afloat? Okay.
In a situation of an expansion, for example, you may need more employees. But for us, what we did, rather than increasing the number of employees, we took forward and took the employees who were within the organization or our business. We took them for a digital class, so that they will be taught on how to do their marketing, on the strategies of marketing, and to keep us still in the same line. We minimize the cost of maybe hiring a digital expert to come and work as an extra employee of our company, so that we'll satisfy the need that we've got for a digital marketer. So for us, we opted on improving on the skills of our sales department, so we could have them do their classes on digital marketing. That will minimize the expense of hiring another employee for a particular field of marketing. Whereas the same person will do the marketing, do the sales, and even they have the skills to assemble the equipments. So they'll do they're like a package of services. So you see, you'll add skills to them and add the increment on their salaries. So you're advancing what you have to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what you mentioned is very important, because I was going to ask you, do you increase their salaries? Because sometimes when you tell somebody, I want to upskill you, to increase the number of skills you want, it's all well and good. But then at the end of the day, someone who doesn't want to do more work at the same pace.
Sure.
So it's important to also match the salary. Clarice, do you want to add a little bit about that? How do you contain your costs and still expand in a good way?
You can do, if you do economies of scale. So for example, in our case, if we get, we look for orders. So if we get a lot of orders, we can get farmers to plant for certain things. So when we get a lot of farmers planting the same thing, the price or the price of our products go down. So yes.
Okay, okay. Now, I'd also like us to talk a little bit about scaling into a different line of business. And I think, Clarice, this is a perfect time for you to chime in on this, because you are in contract farming, but you have diversified into something else. We spoke a little bit and you had talked about you're also providing sanitary towels and whatnot. Can you tell us a little bit about how you decide to diversify into a new area of business, and how does that work? Because you have understood the contract farming business, but now you're entering another sort of field. What are the risks involved there, and has it paid off so far? How is it working out for you?
Okay, when we started, we are only concentrating on agricultural products. And again, as I mentioned, we listened to our customers, so they asked us if we could supply other items. And then luckily, our company is a limited company, so we said, why not? So we started supplying toiletries. So these are items like towels, we do soaps, we do toothpaste, we do shaving creams, yeah. So yes, we supply this to our customers. So the risk involved, it's to some extent there could be a strain on resources and trying to maintain the quality of the products that we supply to our customers. And another challenge of expansion, you get so many clients, and especially when you're dealing with government institutions, and because we're in the tendering processes, the payment of our invoices sometimes take a lot of time. So this really puts a strain to our resources, and I think the Senate, especially with the new government, should come up with a law. There should be a minimum amount of time that the invoices should be paid.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll ask Caroline to tell us a little bit about how you deal with your cash flows when you are waiting for payment. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days pass and you're not being paid. But before that, I'd like Titus to tell us a little bit about if you have considered diversifying into something else that is not the medical supplies field, and what would be the factors that determine that. We know it's the customer, but have you ever thought of getting into other things? Because you had mentioned you had tried a thing or two here and there, but you settled on the medical supply. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Currently, I have diversified in the field of money agents. And so I have another business that deals with M-Pesa, cyber services, and such a package, equity agents. So in this field, okay, along the way to expansion to the Caltech medical suppliers, I've walked really a journey. I've tried several businesses, from butchery, from milk bar, from I've been a kinyozi, I think I've tried all avenues to try and get ahead of where I was. But most of them I could do them when I was in my campus years. But some of them after my campus years, that's when I started trying this business and that. But in the field of diversifying to on a different field, it's a challenge, especially when you're in the line of medical, where you're so tied up with the supply, especially because for us, we don't compromise with the quality. So at times you'll find on the other side of the money agents and the cyber services, you find yourself you are not so much into it because there is the main goal that you're targeting. So I just see it as a side hustle on the part of cyber services and the M-Pesa. But the main is the medical equipment supply.
Okay, thanks for that. Now, Caroline, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about the wisdom of diversifying into areas that are different from your main hustle, so to speak, and also speak to the fact what Clarice had mentioned about sometimes you diversify and it should be a good business, but then your vendors, the people who are supposed to pay you are taking forever. 30, 60, 90 days are going and you just cannot stay afloat. What do you do as a business owner to stay afloat?
Okay, at times it's tricky, very tricky, because in as much as you diversify as a business person, you might supply your goods or give your services to your clients and they delay in paying you. And I believe the best thing you're supposed to do, you should get into agreement with them before even supplying or giving them the service. Though most of them won't honor their promises, but at least you have that promise of, if I give you this service, you're supposed to pay me in 2 weeks or in 1 month's time for me to be afloat and continue with my business. But the challenge that we have outside here is that most businesses, people, you get their businesses fail because of the same reason of the cash flow. Somebody had money, the business was okay, but the suppliers are letting them down. So that is just an agreement between the business person and the person being given the service. Let them have an agreement of when they're supposed to be paid, and if you don't pay on this time, let it not pass this time, because the business has to go on. There is no better way that you can put it, but just having that agreement, because you can't force money from your supplier's pocket.
That's true. But what happens, there are many people who have agreements in place, and then people just don't honor those agreements. I mean, do you start thinking of going the legal way, which is another expense? I mean, what do you do when you have all your ducks in the row? You have your agreement. We've said you're supposed to pay in 60 days. 60 days have gone, 90 days. They're not fulfilling their obligation, or they just keep on giving you stories, but no payment. What do you do? I mean, are we going the legal route? Because we know that's another expense. How do we go about it? I know these are just the challenges of business, but what is the option for somebody who finds themselves in this kind of position? Caroline, you could tell us that, and then maybe Clarice and Titus can tell us if they've found themselves in this situation, what was the way forward?
For me, for Arabuko Limited, we diversified. Expansion really helped us in this case to increase our sources of revenue. For example, we also run a hotel that is in Kitengela. So the good thing about hotel business, we have daily cash flows. So the daily cash flows come in when you have customers who have delayed in paying for a long time. So we are able to manage the cash crunch to some extent. Yes.
Okay, that's good. So not putting all your eggs in one basket is also important. Titus, you can add on to that. What do you do?
Okay, for us, maybe in the diversification, like she just said, for me, I have the M-Pesa services and the cyber services. So you get, at least they'll keep us going for maybe for some bills. But on the other hand, I have a very good partner who is Equity Bank. Whenever I feel I'm a bit down financially, I'll go and talk with them to Thika branch. They have a very good relationship with their customers. I give credit to Kafogo and another guy called Delbert. They've really worked with me in this journey. Whenever they see that I have a hiccup in my finances, they will always come in and they'll give a helping hand. But still, there was something maybe I would like to add on the digital marketing. Digital marketing, you'll find situations where you're serving customers you've never met. So there is a caution. Actually, for me, I've fallen a victim of an issue where I supplied somebody goods who I don't know. We were just communicating through the social media. We could make calls. But so unfortunate that after supplying the goods through payment that was made through a check, the guy cancelled the check. Actually, not cancelled, stopped the check.
Yeah.
That is a very big challenge that has really hit on us as Caltex suppliers, because it was huge, quite huge amount of money. So it has really given us a setback. But Equity is still working. We are still working together with them. But there is that challenge of there is this. When the deal is too good, you should think twice.
Think twice.
I didn't get the twice point of it. But actually, I was doing it. The guy was telling me he's a supplier. We did some supply of the equipment. Fortunately, or unfortunately, after he received, the check was still there. But now the disadvantage with the competitive bank that I was banking with, other than the Equity one, they didn't even have an effort of maybe calling back to inquire about the stopping of the check. So I just felt disappointed with them. But I'm still trying to find the legal ways, but it is a challenge. Especially when you're in the digital field of sales and marketing. make sure that you really understand. Kama ni check, let it mature.
Yeah.
Somebody just told me, kama hujashika pesa, wachana na hiyo biashara.
Yeah.
So watch out.
Wow, wow. And I think, Caroline, you'll tell us a little bit about striking the balance between serving your customer, because, you know, some customers say, I'd rather pay by check. I'm not going to do an RTGS. And you want to be that kind of person who is accommodating to your customers. But where do you draw the line? Because as we've seen, Titus burnt his fingers really badly when extending the offer to do a check. So how do you strike the balance between allowing your customer to decide, okay, for me, a check works better, for somebody else is RTGS? How do you strike the balance?
I think most businesses, people have suffered outside here because of the same thing. And we have some businesses who have their terms and conditions. You have to follow them or follow them, nothing else. And you'll get these big businesses, someone will tell you, I don't accept personal checks. I don't accept checks from companies, but I only accept bankers' checks. That is what some of the businesses do. And apart from bankers' check, someone tells you, I want you to pay first your payment, show me the receipt, then I will supply you my goods or give you my services. The most important thing that entrepreneurs should have, they should have terms and conditions. Don't look desperate. Okay, I'm not saying like Titus was desperate about the business. I think that would be a harsh way of trying to judge him. But let us have some rules and regulations. Yeah, because you'll get organizations that have made it to the top and they're expanding like day and night. They have their rules and regulations that customers follow. And if a customer does not follow that rule and regulation, you're out of the business with them. So when we have those rules and regulations as business people, it will help us in getting our finances and it will help us in expanding our businesses. But if you just get in business with someone because you're like, uni customer wangu ni kama anataka kunipromote na vitu za pesa nyingi sana, we just go back to what Titus has said. When the deal is too good, think twice.
I think you've said something very important there, just having the rules of engagement and knowing when to walk away from a business deal, because sometimes it looks really good. It's like, wow, this deal is going to be the deal of the year, and then it just ends up messing you up. So just know that you have your terms and conditions, just like in any other thing in life, whether it's a business, whether it's a job or anything, have your terms and conditions. You don't want to be rigid, but know these are the way we do. This is the way we do our business, and you either toe the line or thank you, but no thank you. Clarissa, I'd like you to tell us a little bit if you've had any experiences online. You haven't spoken about whether you've done marketing of your businesses online, and how has that worked out for you?
We have that. We are present online in Facebook and also in Instagram, Arabuko_Limited. But our main clients are, because we do bulk sales, our clientele not necessarily go into the digital spaces because we do tenders mostly. So yeah, and then the risk, what my fellow sister was saying, for us we insist on LPOs. Yes, so we do not encourage our customers to place orders on phones. So we ask them to do LPOs that are fully signed. So this really helps us when we are following up with the payments. Yes.
Okay, I think that's very important, because also as Caroline had said, sometimes you tell somebody to come with the receipt, and you know there are people who just fake receipts. It can be very challenging being in business. Now, I'd like us to talk a little bit about when it's time to just sit down and say, probably I need to scale back down. So I scaled up. I thought it was going to work, and it's just not working. How do I just come to the decision that maybe this was not the right time for me to scale up? So it's time for me to scale down and then maybe get my business in order and then try again. Caroline, you can talk to us a little bit about that. But before you do, please continue sending in your texts and messages on the Facebook chat box. We are seeing them, and we'll sample them towards the tail end of this discussion. Caroline?
Okay, my advice on scaling down, okay, I don't think it's a dream of any business person to scale down. But the only thing that can make you scale down, maybe when you don't have that capacity to hold the business as it used to be some time back, because of maybe one or two issues. Maybe you had a fraudulent customer who alikuchota pesa yako ikaangusha biashara. So you have no reason, you just have to scale down. But that is not the mindset of most business people. And something else, you'll get that when a person thinks of scaling down, you'll get that the entrepreneur maybe thought of expanding, and they took their time in concentrating on expanding the new business, and they now forget the old business. Mm-hmm. So it will come to a time that maybe the new business won't be doing good, and the old business is almost maybe falling or shaky. So it will have to force the entrepreneur to scale down, maybe to reduce the number of workers, maybe to reduce the number of supplies he or she is doing, because maybe pesa haitoshi, most of the finances aliweka kwa the new business he or she was expanding. And maybe also the environmental factors. Maybe you were doing your business well and floods came and took everything. You had no insurance of your business. You'll have to be forced to scale down because you will have nowhere to start. You'll have to start from down.
Okay. I think that's an important point. Sometimes you just don't have an option. I mean, environmental factors just make things go wrong, and you just have to scale down, and then you think about it later. And you've mentioned something about sometimes someone puts so much effort in this new business that you forget the one that enabled you to start this second business. So it's important to maintain quality. And as Titus said, that sometimes you can use the resources that you currently have, whether it's employees and whatnot, to train them, to upskill them so that you can upscale. But what happens in cases where the businesses, let's say you are starting other stores and you actually need physical, other people in these stores? How do you make sure you train these people to understand the vision of the business, to make sure that whatever attracted clients in the first place is going to attract them to other businesses that you've started? Titus, how do you do that?
So I think the best way you can do it is the employees that you have, maybe let's call them the business A as the head office. You can decide maybe the one, there is that average performance of your employees. So you can know there is somebody who is good in this field, maybe venturing into the new market. There is somebody who is good in the PR, and there is who is number two in good in PR. So in a situation where maybe you're opening another branch elsewhere, I would really look at it in a way that I would rather have some of the employees who are already in the business, because they know the business history, being part of the new office, wherever you've maybe opened their other branch. Because at least they will still have the vision and the mission of the business in their mind. Because now if you bring in another new employee who is new in this field, new in this office, maybe they don't have the main focus. Maybe for you, your focus is targeting a customer who you have an intention of being a recurrent customer. You see, that recurrent customer will always keep you going. And here you bring in somebody who is after just bringing a customer. I've brought a customer, so that one now it's up to the office to follow up on that. You see, but in a situation where you have somebody who has been in your office, who knows how to handle your customers, who knows how to maintain your customers, I think you will not go long.
Okay, that's a good one, because yes, you need to put people who understand what your business is about. They've been there from the beginning. They understand how your business really works, and they are willing to put in the time. And what you've said there about really tapping into the skills of each employee is really important, because that's the mark of a good leader. You see somebody who's good in PR, take them to that section. Somebody who's good in sales, take them to that section. So it's really about that balance. And Clarice, do you have something that you can also add on to that?
Yeah, I think for the team, they should also understand the business model. They should know, like for Arabuko Limited, what are we about? So for example, as we really concentrate about quality, so they should be aware of that. So what we do, we offer constant trainings, So that keeps them abreast. And also we bring in experts in different areas, like if it's KEFIS, HCDA, what are the new updates in the agricultural sector? Yes, so we make sure that they are constantly updated of what is happening.
Okay. Okay. Now, Caroline, I'd like us to talk about quality. Clarissa's talked about quality. There are some times, and this happens sometimes with stores. Somebody started a store in one location one time, and then it did very, very well. And then they thought there's potential to make even higher profits in a different location, which is a totally different location. So you'll find sometimes the products or services in these two stores, they don't quite match because they're in different locations. I think you get what I'm saying. So how do you maintain quality and also factor into consideration that we're talking about two different target markets?
I think I'll borrow from what Titus said before. For you to maintain the quality, the clients, the staff that you'll take to the new business, first thing, they must feel that the business is theirs. Yani employee akienda kwa hiyo biashara, anaona ni kama biashara yake mwenyewe. You've trained your employees to accept the business, to accept the responsibilities that come with the business. In that you as the owner of the business, if you're not around, the business still runs the same way. And how do you make the employee feel like part of the business? When you want to open the new business, involve them. Waambie, naona hii biashara yetu inafanya vizuri na huu mwaka we've done so well, so we want to open another branch in another area. Nyinyi mnaona aje? Because you will find that these employees deal more with the clients than the owner of the business. Sure. Maybe the owner of the business kazi yake ni kukaa tu back office na kusign checks, ya kulipa suppliers, maybe ya kununua mzigo ingine, ama ya kulipa wafanyikazi mshahara. So the people that get in close contact with the customers are these employees. So when you put them in a position that they feel the business is also theirs, hata wewe when you're down, they will also feel that pinch because you've made them be part and parcel of the business. And when they are like that, believe you me, the quality will not be compromised because ataona hapo ndio anapata food ya kuweka kwa meza kila siku. Maybe you've also put them in the pension scheme. You also allow them to take loans from the banks. Yani, you make their life comfortable in that when an employee thinks of waking up in the morning and coming to your to the work, they feel very comfortable. So the first thing I like to say is, let us motivate our employees. Let us give them more training. Though you'll get more entrepreneurs are like, unaweza patia employee wako education, then in 1 or 2 months, anakuacha anaenda. Okay, in a short way, if you treat your employees well, they will treat your customers well, and they will not even have that thought of even leaving that premise because they will have fear of, nikitoka hapa, nikienda kwingine, will I be treated the same way I'm being treated here? So capture your employees and they will do business for you. They will give you good ideas, whether to open that business in that place or open it in another place because they have the feedback from customers.
Okay, that's a very, very good one. You know, we always talk about delight your customers, but you also have to delight your employees because they're the ones who have the direct contact with your customers. And as you've said, we've mentioned that, yes, you can give them more money, but research has shown time and time again that money is not the only factor that will lead an employee to stay with an organization. The way you said, make them have that sense of belonging. Their opinion matters. Before we start a new store, before we launch a new product, ask for their input and whatnot. It's really important in making sure that these people are committed to the job. And also what you said, because sometimes people fear that, hey, if I make this person go for their degree or whatever, they'll get their degree and then they leave me. But that's not the right thinking, the right way to think as a business owner. Think, if I pour into this person's cup, then they'll pour into my cup. And so I think that's very, very good advice. And so I'd like Titus to tell us what are other ways that you make sure that employees really feel a sense of belonging and ownership of your business as if it's theirs. Other than money, what other things have you done to make sure they are motivated?
Okay. At Caltech, we live as a family. Everybody knows his or her responsibilities. So in a situation where we have a welfare with the employees. In a situation where an employee has a hiccup in this or other way, we'll always come in and give a helping hand. And we try making them see that this company is not about maybe the directors or titles or those involved in it. This is our company. This is actually, for me, I do tell them, take this as a course. My dream is not to have the employees in my office, in my business, like from the start to the end. The moment I nurture somebody, and I hear somebody is telling me, the journey we've walked together, I've learned something, and I'm thinking or trying to do another, I'm trying to diversify in your field. Maybe I'm trying to open a store where I'll be doing medicine. Can you be giving me a helping hand in a situation where you have a client who comes to your office and looks, for us, actually, we only do equipments, we can't do medicine. So the moment I feel that somebody who has been working with me or working at Caltech and they have an idea of a business, we'll always support and give an idea and even help them frame down how to break down their investment, to be cautious on how to approach the risk. Maybe if there is a risk, the business, we try and analyze. Actually, I've nurtured a guy who is in that field, and I feel proud. And he was one of us, and I feel so proud about myself.
That's really good. So you think of it as a complementary kind of thing. So this person can go out and start something, and you might need each other in the future. Sure. So that's the way a business owner should really be thinking, like in a complementary way. Clarice, what other ways have you used to motivate your employees to make them really feel a sense of ownership in that business?
For us, we have provided incentives, and we have also ensured that all our employees have NHIF, NSSF. We also, team building. I think team building goes a long way. And also, if I could add to the how to maintain quality, the question that you had asked earlier, like for us in Arabuko Limited, when you bring in a new farmer to maybe farm a particular product, we give them, like the ISO standards, we also have our standards. These are the chemicals not to use. Actually, we encourage our farmers to do organic farming because we are also venturing into the value addition market. So we are really keen about that. So by setting standards for them is also a way that we maintain our quality when we are also expanding.
Okay, yes. Okay, thanks for that. Now, I'd like us to talk a little bit about the downsides of expanding. We've seen there's a lot to be gained from expansion, but what are some of the downsides of expansion? Caroline, you could take us through that. Of course, it has a dent on your finances as you scale up, but what are the other downsides to expanding that a business owner might not really be paying attention to, that they should really pay attention to?
I think what most people don't pay attention to is employing the right staff for the right business. And you'll find that most of the business people, there are some businesses that require professionals. But since you're in a hurry to expand the business and you want to start selling, you just employ anyone. Mtu tu yoyote mwenye anahitaji kazi. You don't take your time to find the right personnel for that kind of business. And something else that we run so much into expanding our businesses, and it leads to the downfall, is we get so much excited. We even forget about the expenses that comes with expansion. Maybe it's a new location. First thing, maybe we've not done the research of that place on how the people will take up the product. The second thing, you've not done the mathematics of your overhead charges, the rent, the salary that you'll pay your employees. Because what is making you go to expand that business is the previous cash flow you've been getting from the previous business. So you get that most of the businesses huwa hatuplan vizuri. Hiyo excitement inakuanga nyingi sana mpaka we forget some of the expenses, and it leads to the failure of our expansion, na it leads to demotivation of the employees, because unaweza fungua na customers wakose kukuja, so the employees are just bored inside there, no one to give the service. And also the rent thing, we are also supposed to put it in place, in that you should have money that will take you like 3 or 4 months or even a year before the business break evens. But most of the entrepreneurs, ye bora amepata tu pesa ya mwezi moja mbili, ama amelipa rent kama ni miezi 3, ya anaona the business is good to pick. And you forget, you also have employees to pay salary and some other things to do. So when the business starts coming down, most of the entrepreneurs feel that the business that they opened was not the right business. We don't want to look at the mistakes we've done, but what we conclude is, hii biashara haikukuwa the right one mimi kufanya. You now think of another different business to do, walking into the other business with the same mistakes that you had in the previous business that has fallen.
Yeah, that's a good one, because, you know, many people who are in agribusiness, like Clarice is, you hear that farming is the real deal. People are going to retire at 25. Then they start the business and it doesn't work. And then they're like, this farming thing, it's a lie, what people say. But probably you had not planned yourself. You just dived in, you didn't do your research, and you failed. So sometimes we need not blame the business, but we need to just look inwardly and see, what did we not do well? Because as you said, failing to plan is planning to fail. So what are the other factors, Titus, you could tell us that when we are extending our business, what are some of the things that people don't look at that are the downsides?
The market research. It is very, very much important to do a market research. I can give an example with mine. Till this time, back then when I was having an idea of, we were to open a clothes shop with my wife. But here we come along, a very decent butchery, designed with a freezer, with a display, with everything. And we just decide, we ever thought of starting a butchery one day? Can we try it? Yes, we can. And there we went. Unfortunately, the business did not go long because we didn't do the market research. It's like opening a butchery in a pork butchery where you have the Muslims. Considering their religion, they are not in pork. So it's always good to do a market research. You may start a business, you may start a branch elsewhere during your expansion. Like, for example, you stay now and start importing those masks and stuff because I hear there is another COVID that is coming. I think it is not the right time. You need to do a good market research on what business you are, where you're expanding your business, to have the idea of the market. Try and go and just go in and view those few places according to your business niche or the business group that you're doing. Like for her, for Claire, she will be good in the field of supply in the hospitality field. So if she just see somebody has opened a very big hotel along the dual college from Nairobi to Nyeri, you need to have a market research. Who will be hosted in this hotel? Is it a 5-star? Is it a 3-star? Is it a 4-star? So in a situation where you do the research, you'll know whether this is a good market for you to be doing your supply. Do you need to have a branch along the way for your storage, for your cold rooms, since her field is dealing with perishable goods? So I think market research is very vital. Okay. Very vital, because that is what is making you go there. Okay. Without that market, you will not survive.
Okay, so research. Before you jump into any business, you really need to do research. Now, I'll read 2 comments from people, but before that, as we wrap up, Caroline, you had spoken a little bit about getting good quality professionals. Now, tell us the difference between, because there are people who apply the strategy of, I'll get somebody who is not necessarily trained in this and I'll train them, and as long as they have the right attitude, we'll grow together. Then there are others who say, it just needs to be a professional, and the attitude does not matter. So tell us the balance between attitude and the skills, and whether it's advisable to just go with somebody who's professional from the beginning and has the skills, or build someone to where you want them to be.
I think when you get a professional the first time, sisi wote ni binadamu, na as the world is going, we are now going digital. Now, we now say the world is a global village. The person you might have found as a professional might not have the knowledge of the technology as at now. So in as much as you looking for a professional, look for a professional, yes, but be prepared to give them more trainings, because we are changing, our lifestyle is changing. Now, if you're also looking for a person with no skills, and the attitude is also positive, they're ready to learn, that is also okay for a business person. The only thing that will affect the business is when you get an employee who has an attitude of not learning. That is what will affect the business. But go for professional, go for anybody who is willing to learn and the attitude is okay. Still, you have to take them through trainings, because our business environment keep on changing day in, day out.
Okay, thank you for that. As you said, the only constant thing in life is change. Yes. So you need to move with the times and have an open mind. Now, before I let Clarice and Titus give their closing remarks, I'll just sample a few comments here. Tracy John is saying she's tuned in. She's enjoying the conversation. Omarion is also tuned in and enjoying the conversation. And Saimo is also enjoying the conversation. Thank you for that. It's a really insightful conversation. And so at this point, I'd like to just give Titus, give us your closing remarks to that business owner who wants to scale up. Wrap it up for us.
Okay. So if you're planning to do your expansion or opening several branches, consider a market research. When you have a market research, you will not go wrong. Consider your finance muscle. Because in any expansion, automatically, definitely, you need a financial approach in it, because you're moving higher levels. So you need to have a good financial muscle. You need to do a good market strategy. You need to involve some experts in that field you're expanding in. Then don't compromise your quality.
Okay,
because quality wins it all.
Okay, thank you for that. And Clarice, I'll give you 10 seconds to give us your closing comments, because we are bad on time.
My word out there is for every or any entrepreneur or anybody who wants to get into the entrepreneur space, do not be afraid to step out and try. Yes, there are challenges with expansion, but try. But first, do your research, do your market research, do expansion research, look at the cultural backgrounds of the area you want to expand. Do you have cash reserves? And look at the right partners. Look for right partners, be it financial partners and good mentors, people who have done it before and also experts in the field.
Okay, yes. Thank you for that. Don't be afraid to try, do your research, and make sure you have good quality. Thank you for that. It has been an insightful conversation here on the do's and don'ts when expanding your business. This has been The Disruption Show. I have been your host, Claire Munde, sitting in for Waihiga Mwaura, who will be back next week. Until next week, have a good evening.